Hello everyone, welcome to this beginner's guide to photography. Today we're going to discuss the three most important things in photography: ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. These settings are the building blocks of every great photos. Understanding them is the key to take better pictures. Let's start with ISO. What is ISO? ISO is the measure of your camera's sensitivity to light. The higher the ISO is, the more sensitive is your camera to light. ISO is very useful when the light is not sufficient and you are in a low light situation, but higher ISO can introduce noise and lesser quality. On the other hand, lower ISO gives you a clean photo. So you're in a concert and you want to take photos of a concert. As you know, the concert light is most of the time low, so you have to take your ISO higher than, I can say, 3200 to make your camera more sensitive to light. When aperture and shutter speed is not sufficient to get more light, you have to take ISO higher. I will explain what shutter speed and aperture is in the next sections. And then let's see what's the difference between high ISO and low ISO. Let's go to the computer. So this is the photo which is taken at ISO 100, which produces a clean, noise-free image, as you see. The second photo is taken at ISO 12,800, which introduces a lot of noise and reduces image quality. You can see the noises in the photo that I'm showing you. What is next? Next is shutter speed. What is shutter speed? Shutter speed is the length of the time that your shutter is closing and opening again. Faster shutter speed takes lesser light, and on the other hand, slower shutter speed takes more light. So when you want
I was just thinking about the sounds that zebras make. Animals are so fascinating.
So when you want a brighter photo, you have to make shutter speed slower to gain more light. On the other hand, if you want to make your photos darker, you have to make the shutter speed faster. To freeze the motion, you have to use higher shutter speed. And also, if you want to have motion blur, you have to lower your shutter speed to achieve that. So let's see some examples. Let's say you are photographing a bird in flight. To freeze the bird's wings in midair, you'll need a fast shutter speed of at least 1 in 1,000th of seconds. On the other hand, if you are photographing a waterfall and you want to create a soft flowing effect, you might need to use a slower shutter speed of a few seconds or more. So finally we have aperture. What is aperture? Aperture is the size of your curtains of your lenses. A wider aperture, as you can see, when it is wide, it gains more light and your photos will be brighter. If you close it down, the light can't go in and your photos will be darker. It also has another effects on your photos. When you're using a wider aperture, you can achieve bokeh in your background. On the other hand, if you want everywhere be sharp, you have to use closer aperture. Okay, let's see some example. For example, let's say you're taking a portrait of someone. Create a pleasing bokeh effect and blur the background. You'll want to use a wider aperture like f2.8 or f1.8. I can say when you want to show the aperture, you have to use f and the number. For example, f2.8, f3.6, f1.8. Let's see the examples again. So let's say you want a landscape photo and you want everything in the scene to be in focus. You'll need to use a small aperture like f11 or f16 as you see in the picture. So it was just the basic guys to ISO, aperture and shutter speed. I will show you in more details in next videos. We will take some photos in different situations and you will learn how to mix all these settings together to achieve the great photo that you want to have. Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 2. Today I want to show you how you can change aperture, shutter speed and ISO on your camera and your phone. So let's go for them. Did you watch the lesson 1? If not, you have to go to previous lesson, which is lesson 1, and after that you can come to this, which is lesson 2. I think after you watch that video, you now understand what is shutter speed, ISO and aperture is. Basically, I want to talk about them briefly in this lesson to remind you what were they and how can we use them. ISO was the measure of your camera's sensitivity to light. Shutter speed was your camera's curtain speed, and also aperture was how wide is this curtain. Okay, if you want to learn more, you have to go to the lesson 1. Okay, as I said, I want to show you how you can change that settings on your camera and your phone. Let's go for them. So I have a Fuji and you can change ISO from here. It started from 160 and you can see the numbers that you can change to, and here we have our shutter speed. You can also change it from this dial button. You can just turn it around. For aperture, you have to use this dial button. I'm going to show you where that setting is in Canon, Sony and Nikon. So here we see Nikon. Then we're going to Sony. And in the last we see Canon. I want to show you some examples in more detail. Different situations, how you can change your settings to get the best picture. And also I will show you how you can change these settings on your phone. Nowadays, phones also has these settings and you can change it, and you can also practice with your phone. For example, for a portrait, you can see I use these settings. Aperture, shutter speed and ISO, and for example for landscape you have to use these settings to make everywhere be sharp. Also for the concert you can use these settings. For the street photography, you can also use these settings. And if you want to shoot a wedding album, this is my preferred settings. In different situations and lighting, you have to change the numbers because in any environment you have to balance these settings according to that environment. So you have to practice more to learn these settings better and use them in different situations. Now I want to show you the same photo with 2 aperture to show you how it's changed when you change your aperture. Let's see this photo. For example, the first photo is taken at aperture 2.8. You can see the background is so blurry and the focus of the photo is on our subject. Also, now we can see the same photo in different aperture. So let's go to the phone and how we can change these settings in phone. Does our phone has these settings? Didn't you know it? Yes, they are. They also have these settings in Pro mode. You have to go to Pro mode in your phone and do it there. Let me get my phone. Okay, here's my phone and we have to open camera and go to settings. It has more. When you go to more, you can choose the Pro and you can see all the settings there. For example, the first one is ISO, the speed is shutter speed actually, and EV focus and white balance. I will teach you in next lessons. Hello Kalimiro. What do you want, Kalimiro? And as you see, aperture is fixed. For example, mine is 1.8. Okay, that's it for today. This was the lesson 2. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something from me. In the next video, I want to talk about which camera and which lenses is suitable for you. If you want to be a street photographer, wedding photographer, or I don't know, a landscape photographer, I will describe the difference between lenses and cameras and make it easier for you to choose the best for you. Hey photographers, welcome back to lesson 3, which is about which lenses and cameras is suitable for you. You ready? Let's go for it. Okay, actually the most important factor for buying a camera and lenses is your budget. How much money do you spend for your camera and lenses? First, I'm going to explain which cameras and lenses are existed, and in the end, I will choose 3 best cameras in every sections: low budget, mid-range budget, and for rich people. So let's see which camera types we have. There are 3+1 types of cameras: DSLR, mirrorless, point and shoot, and if we can count phones. Nowadays they're doing very good in some occasions. So first, let's go for DSLR. The big cameras which uses lens and print from the lens to your eye and giving you a clear view of what camera is seeing. The second one is mirrorless. They use an electronic viewfinder or the rear screen to show you what camera sees. They are smaller, lighter, and more portable and more easier to carry around. Point and shoot. It's like the name. You can just point and shoot. So using them is very easy. It's amateur. It's for normal people to capture their everyday life. They're even smaller than mirrorless cameras. Most of them has auto settings, which you can just, as I mentioned before, you can just push the button and capture your scene. I will not recommend it because you want to be a photographer, so they are not professional and they are just for normal people. Let's skip point and shoot cameras. Phone. And the last one is phone. They're so popular photography tools these days and almost all the people using it. And for this reason, I would like to teach phone photography as well. Personally, I do some phone photography as well as normal people. For example, when you're going somewhere and you don't have your camera with you, you can use your phone because phone is always with you. So phones are important in photography. You don't have your camera with you all the time. And these days, they do a great job in taking photos and videos. But I can say for just social media and normal uses. Okay, this was the types of cameras, and let's go to lenses. The two most important types of lenses are prime lenses and zoom lens. Let's go first for zoom lenses. They can be vary in focal length. You can zoom in or zoom out without changing your lens. The most popular is 24 to 17 millimeter, which I can say most of photographers use it at least once. I use it as well. It's a very good lens. You can do everything. Prime lenses, which is my favorite. One of them is here. I have two prime lenses, which is one of them is there, is capturing the video now, and one of them is this 85 millimeters, which is perfect for portrait, which is my job. Prime lenses are fixed. You can't zoom in or out. You have to step in and or step back when you want to zoom. But they give you a very good, perfect, I can say perfect, yes, not good, sharp image, which is zoom lenses can't do it. That's why I prefer prime lenses for videography and for photography. Most of the people use them for portrait photography, low light photography, street photography, landscape, or product photography. And one flashback to zoom lenses, you can use the zoom lenses for event photography, wildlife photography, sports photography, travel photography, and documentary photography. There are some other types of lenses which I can say they're including in zoom and prime lenses. For example, wide angle, fisheye lenses, and telephoto lenses, which is, I think they're in zoom lenses group. Now I hope you know which lenses are suitable for you. It depends on what do you want to do. You want to be a portrait photographer, street photographer, I don't know, landscape photographer. For example, if you want to be a portrait photographer like me, you have to use, for example, I have 85 millimeter, and also you can use 15 millimeter. It's also very good for portrait. The most important thing that we portrait photographers cares is our aperture. We like it to be wide. For example, this is 1.8 because it gives you a very good and light bokeh and very blurry professional background. Okay, that's it. I hope I could guide you to choose the best for you. Okay, now we go to the which camera in which budget. Okay, let's see the low budget cameras. Okay, the first one is a Nikon D3500. It's a DSLR 24.2 megapixel. It gives you a kit lens which is 80 to 55. It can take 5 frames per second, and it also can shoot video in 1080, which is HD. And its price is 460 euros in Germany. The second one is Fujifilm, which is my favorite.
We have a Fujifilm X-T200. It doesn't offer a lens and you have to buy it for yourself. After watching these lessons you can choose it easily.
So this is 24.2 megapixel. It is mirrorless. It can take 8 photos per second. Also can shoot 4K, which is very good. And its price is 520, but use one. The next is Sony, which is doing great these days. It's a Sony Alpha 6000. It also doesn't offer you a lens. It's 24.3 megapixel. It also mirrorless. It can shoot 11 frames per second and 1080 for videos. The cost is $499. So let's go for the mid-range.
The first one is a Canon R, which is 26.2 megapixels. It's a full frame, mirrorless, and you can shoot 4K Ultra HD videos and 8 photos per second. The price is €1,200.
The second one is a Nikon D7500. It's 20.9 megapixel DSLR. You can now know the difference between DSLR and mirrorless, I hope. You can shoot 4K Ultra HD again, 8 frames per second. The third one is a Sony again, and it's a Sony Alpha A6100. It's 24.2 megapixel mirrorless. It can shoot 4K Ultra HD and 11 frames per second. Okay, rich people, let's go and choose for you. These are the best cameras in store. So in my opinion, you don't have to think and just go buy them. Okay, let's go for the first one. The first one is a Sony A7 IV. It's a 33 megapixel full frame mirrorless. It can shoot 4K 60 frames per second videos and 10 photos per second for the photo. It costs $2,749. I can say it's a perfect camera, not very good. You can buy it without thinking. The second one is my favorite, which is Fuji. The best Fuji in stores. It's a Fuji X-H2. It's 40 megapixel. It's a mirrorless. It can shoot 8K 30 frames per second, which is perfect. It can also shoot 15 photos per second. It costs €2,139. And the last one is a Canon.
Canon R6. It's 20.1 megapixels. Megapixels are not really important, and it doesn't have anything with quality. It is full frame, mirrorless.
It can shoot 4K 60 frames per second and 12 photos per second. It costs $1,999, which is cheaper than others. Welcome back. Today I want to complete lesson 3, which was about which lenses and cameras is suitable for you. I'm gonna talk about focal length and which lenses are suitable for which type of photography. You ready? Let's go for it. We go again. Today I wanted to show you this beautiful park near my house, so I decided to come here and record a new episode here. So let's get back to work. What is focal length? Focal length is the distance between lens and the image sensor when the lens is focused on infinity. What? What is this? Okay, let's say it in more simple language. It's just how wide your lens can see. For example, 18mm can see a wide range of scene. 140mm can see a narrower range of subjects. You can see how it works in this infographic.
Here you can see in an example how different is 24mm to 50mm or 135 to 200mm.
Wide angle lenses. For example, 18mm produces a wider angle of view, so it is more useful for landscape photography because you want to shoot everywhere. As you notice, it measured with millimeter. And as I said, you can use it for landscape photography, architectural photography, and some of wedding photographers also use it to show all aspects of the scene. Let's see some examples. These lenses are wide-angle lenses. We have here a Nikkor 14 to 24 millimeter aperture 2.8, which is also good for night photography because it has a wide aperture. And then Canon 16 to 35 millimeter aperture 2.8 is also good for night photography. And the last one is Sigma 8 to 16 millimeter. It is ultra wide lens and the aperture is 4.5 to 5.6. Normal focal length. It's a natural perspectives like what and how a human sees. They're around 35 to 85 millimeter. Often portrait photographer or street photographer use them. The most popular one is 50 millimeter because it is cheaper than others and it also gives you a high quality. The reason that it's cheaper than the others is it's more easy to produce it. Okay, let's see some of them. Here we have Canon 85 millimeters, aperture 1.4. It is perfect for portrait photography. It gives you a very beautiful bokeh because of wide aperture. The second one is Sony 85mm for Sony cameras. The aperture is 1.8 and is also perfect for portrait and street photography. And the last one is Sigma 15mm, aperture 1.4. You can take wider range with this lens and its aperture is also 1.4, which is also perfect for having a bokeh in the background. Line focal length. For example, 200 millimeters. It gives you a narrower angle of view and higher magnification for zooming. They use it when they want to zoom on a subject in distance. It's allowing you to capture the distant subjects in greater details. Typically, photographers use them for wildlife photography and sport photography. But as usual, some wedding photographers also use it. For example, 70 to 200 millimeters is very popular for photographers. And let's see some of them. This is Canon 100 to 400 millimeter. The aperture is 5.6 to 8. As you see, it can goes to 400 millimeters, which you can zoom to a very long distance. For example, when you see a bird on the tree, you can capture it with this lens. Then we go to Sony 70 to 200, aperture 2.8. Wide range of photographers can use it and they're using it. For example, as I mentioned, wedding photographers, wildlife photographers and sport photographers using it. And the last one is Nikkor 200 to 500. I think you can take photos of moon with this lens. It gives you 500 millimeters. The aperture is fixed and it is 5.6. Now let's see which type of photographers should use which type of lens. Landscape and architecture photographers. As I mentioned before, they have to use wide-angle lenses because they have to capture a wide view of a subject, and the most popular one is 14mm, 16 to 35mm, and 24 millimeters. Portrait photographers. Normally they use normal focal length to slightly zoom lenses. 35, 50, 85 and 105 are the most popular for portrait photographers. Street photographers, they have a wide range of subjects. The most popular for them is 35, 50 and 85 again. The fourth one is sports photographer. They're capturing a fast moving subject, so they need a zoom lens, and a lens can autofocus very fast, and also the lens should have stabilization. Again, the most popular one is 72, 200 and 100 to 400 for sport photographers. Wildlife. It looks like sport photographers because also you have to capture fast moving subjects and in a long distance. The most popular one is 400 and 500 millimeters. Macro photographers, capturing extreme close-ups, and the most popular focal length for them is 100 millimeters and 180 millimeters. Astro photography. It varies in use. For example, if you want to take a wide sky or just you want to take moon. And the focal length starts from 14 millimeters to 500 millimeters. And so wedding photography, which was my job, we used all the range of the focal lengths from 16 millimeter to 200 millimeters and so on. You can use all the focal length for wedding photography. But the most popular one is 24 to 70 millimeters and 70 to 200 millimeters. Now I'm using my 85 millimeters Aperture 1.8. It gives me a high quality and a very pleasant bokeh that I like to have in my background. Travel photographers. It also includes a variety of subjects, and it's better to have a zoom lens to be able to capture everything that you see in your travel. The most popular one is 80 to 200 millimeters and 24 to 105 millimeters. Hi! Today I'm gonna talk about the best techniques for composition in photography. It's very important and it can make or break your photos. We'll discuss the different elements of composition and how to use them to make your photos more interesting. If you're ready, let's go for it. Come back, I'm gonna explain 5 different techniques in composition. You can either use them with your camera or your smartphone. Let's go for the first one. Let's start with the most basic composition techniques, which is rule of thirds, which I mostly use in my videos that you can see also now. First, you have to divide your frame in thirds, horizontally and also vertically, and then put your most important elements on the intersections of these horizontal and vertical lines, and you can easily create more visually appealing photos. Let's see some examples. Here you can see I put the subjects on the intersections in all the photos to achieve the rule of thirds composition. Another composition technique is leading lines, which is now I'm using it. In this video, I'm using leading lines and rule of thirds both to have a better picture for you. They are lines that leads the viewer's eye through a subject. And as always, you can understand it better with examples, so let's see them. And here also you can see there are some lines which is leading your eye to a subject. You can put your subject somewhere middle of the lines. The next one is symmetry and patterns. Symmetry and patterns is also another way to create interest in your photos. You can use natural patterns like repeating patterns in nature, or you can create your pattern with objects. Symmetry is another way to balance your photos. To understand them better, let's see examples. In the first photo, you can see I blocked the light with some objects, and the second one is a pattern of lights. The next is framing. It's a way that you can add depth in your photos. You can use natural frames like trees, or you can use windows or doorway, or you can also create the frame with an object. The frame can create a sense of context and draw your viewer's attention to the subject. Let's see examples. Here you can see how I use the frame. This photo and this photo I use plants as frames. Last one is background and foreground. It can have a very big impact on your composition. You can use foreground to add depth to your photos, and the background can help you to show the mood and the story of your photos. It's very important to choose your background properly. You need to show beautiful things in your frame, so you have to decide the best background always. And as always, to understand it better, let's see some examples. Here you can see in the left side of the picture I used plants as foreground. And in this picture I also used light bulbs for the foreground. There you go, that was the composition techniques, and you can always use them in your photos. I can say these are just guidelines. You can break them whenever you want and make something maybe more interesting. And with experiment, you can find your style. Hi everybody, welcome back. So you learned the basics: ISO, shutter speed, aperture, composition, and other stuff. Now you need to learn how to edit your photos. Every photographer should know how to edit their photos because it has a big impact on your photos. So if you're ready, let's go for it! Welcome back. First, I show you how to import your photos on Photoshop, and then we edit some photos to show you how I'm editing my photos. Let's see how we can import our photos. Okay, now I'm going to show how you can import your photos to Photoshop. The easiest way is just to drag and drop photos to Photoshop like this. You can just drag it and drop it here, and it will open in camera raw filter if your photos are raw. Here a tip for you: always shoot in raw because you can change the color however you want. Let's say you have your photos in JPEG. So what should we do? Again, you can just drag and drop it to Photoshop, and when it's open you can just go to filter and use camera raw filter to open this window and color grade your photos. The other way is to go to open and easily choose your photo. For example, mine is here and I'm choosing these two and just click on open. So easily you can open your photos in camera filter to refine the colors. So now here we have our photos in Photoshop. Now how we can edit them, how we can make them great. Let's do it. Now we are ready to change the colors as we want. Let's start. So the first one is temperature. Temperature is how warm or cold is your colors. For example, for this photo, I want it to be more warm, so I'm dragging it to right and I put it here. And tint is, you can give purple or green tint to your photos. For example, let's see, I'm gonna do it something like here. Yeah, it's okay now. Okay, exposure is like the name. You can adjust how bright and how dark is your photo. So let's see, let's do it here. And the next one is contrast, which is contrast between colors. When we slide it to right, it gives a bit contrast to photo, and when we slide it to left, it takes the contrast. So I want to be a bit contrasty, so I slide it a bit to right, like this. Then the next one is highlight. With highlight, you can adjust bright colors in your photo. Now we can see how I can affect skin which is bright in this photo, and you can see how bright parts is changing. Yeah, I'm gonna do it like something like this. And shadows also affecting shadow part of the photo, like this. You can see how it changes. I would like to have softer shadows, so I'm sliding it to right. Then we have white. It's like the name, it affects white and bright colors in the picture, so you can see again how it affects the photo. So I'm doing it like this. And also blacks, it affects black colors in the photo. I want it to be softer, so I drag it to a bit to right. So then we have texture. Texture and clarity is affecting your photo's sharpness. So let me zoom a bit to see better. Now I'm sliding texture to right. You can see it's now more sharp. You can see it like this better, but it's not good. Let's do it something like this. Also, clarity gives sharpness to your photos, but it's a bit different to texture. Now we can see how different it is. It's mostly affects edges of the photo. So let's do it something like this. Then we have dehaze. If your photos are hazy, you can eliminate them with this option here. Now let's see how it affects our photo. If we slide it to right, it's a bit warmer, and if we slide it to left, it's a bit soft. So I like warm and contrasty photos, so I'm dragging it slightly to right. Now we have the vibrance. I can say it's smart saturation that makes your photos more saturated, but not in unpleasant way. Now we can see how it affects the colors, and I'm gonna put it somewhere here. Then we have saturation. Its saturation affects all the colors in the pictures. So now we can see how all the colors now are more colorful, but it's not pleasant. And if you slide it to left, it goes to black and white. I'm gonna put it somewhere like here. Now we finished the basic part, and gonna close it, and let's go to curve. Curve is a bit hard to deal with it. I don't recommend you to now use it, but I'm gonna show you a bit. You can click on this, and then you can point here, and let's make blacks a bit moody and drag this up. Yes, and then you can use it like this. As you can see, it makes your photos, your highlighted midtones more visible and contrasty. So it's a bit hard to deal with, but it's very powerful tool. Let's just do it like this. You can also change the colors here, red, green and blue. I'm going to close it and go into detail. Detail is just how sharp is your photo. So our photo is very sharp and good, so we don't need it so much. You can see how it affects your photo. I'm going to put it at 40, at where it was before. The next one is color mixer. It's an important section. You can change all the colors. here. Let's go with the first heart hue. You can see it has reds, orange, yellows, greens, and the other colors. You can change the colors to what you want here. For example, I'm gonna affect reds a bit. It's when I slide it to right, it's going to something like orange. Then if I slide it to left, it's more purple. So I don't want to change the color of the clothes, but let's change the green. So you go to green, and I like to slide it to right and have, for example, this color. Then we have saturation. As you know, saturation is how colorful is your photo. For example, I don't want the green be that colorful, so I go to greens and slide it a bit to left. Now, yeah, it's better now, I think. Focus to be on my subject, so I'm desaturating greens. Then we have the luminance. It's how bright or dark is your colors. For example, I want to again make greens a bit darker, like this. Yeah, it's good. Now let's see before and after. It was like this. Now we have this. You can see how it changed. Now we have color grading. So it has 3-part: midtones, shadows, and highlights. You can change them all. The easiest way is to just click here and make them bigger. Actually, I don't want to change shadows color, but I'm gonna show you how it changes. When you click, it affects shadows. I'm gonna do it like this maybe, and then I'll go to midtones. It is good. I'm gonna leave it like this. Then we go to highlights, and yes, this is good. Let's close the color grading, and I will skip optics and geometry, and I'll go to effects. Here we have grain and vignette. Vignette is like, you can just see the effect. It makes a black shadow in the border of your photos. Like you can see, I can do it like this to draw the viewer's attention to my subject. And then we have grain. For example, if you had a photo which, for example, the subject didn't have any texture, you can add grain to it. It gives you some texture. For example, if I do it like this, you can see the texture here on your photo, but my photo has enough texture, so I don't need it. I can just do it a bit, not so much. And then I will go to calibration. Calibration has red primary, green, and blue primary. It's also like the name, it's changed the color that has red in it. For example, now we can see if I slide it to right and left, the colors that has red in it will change. And this slide is also the saturation of it. Then let's play with green a bit. It's good like this. And the saturation, yeah, I like it like this. For the blue, let's do it like this. And most of the time I do the blues saturation to the right. Always gives me a very pleasant color. As you see now, I'm gonna put it here. And then now let's see the change. It was like this, and now it's this. You can see how different it is. It's so much better now. Then we have one more photo here. I want the same color for this. What should I do? You can just go to this, go to copy, edit setting, and then paste it here. Easy. You have the same color here. For example, here it's a bit yellow, and you can add yellow to this photo too. You can go to temperature and make it more yellowish, like this. Now let's see, this is the before and this is the after. We are done. It has another options here. I will teach you in next lessons. Sometimes you need to remove something in your photos. Now let's see how we can remove them so easily. Now we want to open our photos in Photoshop. You can just select both and click open here, and it will be open in Photoshop. Okay, let's say we have something in our photo that we don't like. You can just go to here, spot healing brush, and zoom in a bit and just click. For example, I don't want these things here. You can just click and remove them. It's so easy thanks to Photoshop. For example, let's try here. For example, you want to delete this without no reason. It's good, but I don't know. I want just to show you how you can delete things. You can just drag and drop and it will be gone. Easy. The last part is saving your photos. Let me show you how you can save your photos to your computer and use them for social media or printing or something else. Now let's say we are happy with everything. How I can save my photos? It's again so easy. You can just go to File and Save as JPEG, or you can just push Ctrl Alt and S to save your photos. You can name it and just hit the save and hit OK and it will be done. See, that was so easy. The next videos I will show you advanced retouching, whatever you can do with portrait. But this video was just basics, but it can make big impacts on your photos. It's not just so basic. Let me know if you want to learn specific things in comment section below. Hi, in this video we're going to talk about top 10 mistakes that every beginner photographers do and they need to avoid them. Let's dive in. The first one is ignoring composition. One of the first mistakes that every beginner photographers or even pro photographers do is to ignoring composition. Do you remember rule of thirds, leading lines and other composition techniques? If not, you can watch my video about composition again. It has very big difference when you composite your photos. It can shows your level of photography. Now look at these photos. You can see how I composite them. For example, in this one you can see I use rule of thirds, and in this one I used leading lines composition. The second one is poor exposure control. Proper exposure is crucial for a well-balanced photo. You need to learn how to adjust your exposure with adjusting shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Avoid overexposing or underexposing your photos. Recently, it happened to one of my friends that the camera person didn't adjust the exposure and all the videos are overexposed and he couldn't use it. Here you can see when I'm overexposed and now I'm underexposed. See? It's not good at all. The third one is neglecting white balance. White balance determines your temperature of your photo. Neglecting white balance can result in inaccurate colors and overall photos with lack of harmony. I usually use auto balance because I trust my camera and I adjust the white balance in post-production in Photoshop because it depends on the mood of my edit. And now you can see how does it work. For example, now it's warm and now it's cold. The fourth one is not focusing. Getting a sharp and well-focused photo is essential. You need to be sure if your photos are focused. As you saw in my videos, in my shooting, I always check my focus by zooming it on my subject. The fifth one is location and time. Choosing bad time and bad location for your shooting. It's very important to choose your location properly. You need to always think of background of your subject, because the background is telling the story of your photo. If it is not properly chosen, your photos doesn't have any sense. And for the lighting, for example, in the midday, it's awful. It's better to shoot in sunset or sunrise. The best times for shooting is a little bit after sunrise and before sunset. You can see a huge difference in your photos when you shoot in that time. I usually skip the sunrise because I will not wake up at that time. Usually I shoot at sunset. Sixth one is wrong shutter speed and aperture. For example, a moving subject needs to be shot with a faster shutter speed to freeze the movement if you don't need to have motion blur. Or using a close aperture for portrait photography. I see it so much. It's not focused on your subject. Everywhere is sharp and your subject is vanished in the photo. So it's better to use wider aperture and use a proper shutter speed for your photos. The seventh one is over editing and under editing. Finding the right balance for post-production is crucial. You need to enhance your photos without making them unnatural, and by practice you can find your style. The eighth one is poor lens choice. Selecting the appropriate lens can make a big difference in your photography. For example, again, when I see some photographers using kit lens for portrait, you can see it doesn't have any difference with phones because the lens is not proper for portrait. Kit lens is just for, I don't know, hobby, just to exercise and practice. Throw out the kit lenses, don't buy them at all. And I can say, if you have the best camera and you don't use the proper lens, you will shoot amateur photos. The ninth one is to not explore different perspectives. Sometimes when you try some new angles in your shooting, you will say, wow, it's much more better than before. Try new angles, go low, go high, and go close to your subject. Change your position, change your perspectives to get better photos. And the last one is the thing that I always say in my videos: shooting, editing, and repeating. It's very important. You need to practice and gain experience and learn from your mistakes. That's it. It was the top 10 mistakes that every beginner photographers do. And after this video, I hope you will avoid them. Welcome back! Today we are diving in the fascinating world of lighting. I will explain different lighting techniques, how and where to use artificial or natural lights. Let's jump in. Natural lights. Natural light is a photographer's best friend, but sometimes it can be their enemy. In accord to your photography style, you need to choose the best time of the day for yourself. For example, in this photo, you can see how time can change the color and everything in the same photo. It's around sunrise and sunset. When the sun is low on the horizon, it casts a warm and a golden light. This light creates a magical and soft glows. It's perfect for portraits, landscapes, and any other scenes. Which we have a lot in Berlin. By the way, I live in Berlin and I always need a model. So if you're interested, you can always send me a message on Instagram. Let's get back. On cloudy day, the light becomes diffused because it's going through the clouds, and clouds acts like a big softbox in the sky. This softens the shadows and reduces the harsh contrast, which is making it ideal for shooting people or any other subject where you need soft shadows. And partly cloudy days are like a chaos for photographers because it constantly changes, and sometimes you need to wait to be cloudy or sunny, and it's so hard to shoot in partly cloudy weather. It typically found in the midday. It produces strong and contrasty lighting condition. This can result in deep shadows and blown out highlights. It is very challenging to work with harsh light, and I don't recommend it to use it for portrait photography at all. But you can use it for architectural photography, street photography, or when you want to shoot a shadow pattern. Let's go to artificial lights. While natural lights are beautiful, but sometimes they're not sufficient, and sometimes you can't find natural light. That's where artificial lights comes into play, and by adding lighted sources you have a greater control on your photos. The first one is flash photography. It's a very popular form of artificial lighting. You can use external flash or your camera's built-in flash, and it can be used in various situations like indoor photography, event photography, or even portrait photography. And you can also use artificial lights in outdoor photography. Using continuous lighting like LED panels or studio lights, and it is very useful when you want to see how lights falling on your subject in real time, which is making it ideal for portrait photography or video shooting. It's more advanced and it's for professionals. You need to set up multiple light sources like fill light, background light, key light to create your professional and desired lighting. The intensity and quality of lighting make it professional, so it's suitable for professional studio photography, fashion photography, or product photography, and so on. So that was it. This was natural and artificial lights techniques, and I hope you learned something from this video. Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to explain all the modes and settings in phone photography and videography. The first one is lens choices. It depends on your phone, and mostly the phones has a wide-angle lens, a normal lens, and zoom lenses. The wide-angle lens is for example, when you want to shoot landscapes, indoor photography, and some people using it when they want to be taller. When you use wide-angle lens and you shoot from low angle, it shows you much more taller. So they use it for that. Let me show you some examples. And the normal lens, which is the best lens of your camera, you can use it for all types of photography because it has the best and highest quality. And the next one is zoom lenses. When you want to shoot a subject which is in a far distance, you need zoom lenses. When using zoom lenses, you're not losing quality, and it's better than digital zooming.
second option is flash. Normally phones flashes, it's not so strong, but it can make some difference. For example, when you are in a low light situation and your subject is completely dark, you can use flash to brighten it. And also when you have backlight, for example, you have sun behind your subject, it would be better to use your flash because otherwise your subject will be so dark. The third one is timer. I think most of you know how to use it. You can just use it for automatic shutter, like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and 10 seconds. For example, after 10 seconds, it will shoot automatically. The next one is picture size. For picture size, you have some options. For example, 3x4, 1x1, 9x16. 3x4 is suitable for Instagram posts. And when you shoot in portrait mode, you can have a big photo on Instagram feeds. The next one is 9x16. It's better to use it when you want to shoot for story because it's longer and it can fill your phone screen. And it's also better for printing. For example, when you want to print your photos to size of 10x15, this picture size is the best. Then we have the 1x1, which is square if you like to shoot square, so you can use it. So I can say it's not my favorite. And the last one is full, which is a very long rectangle. I also don't like it because it's like a long, narrow, and it's better to use it for video, not photo. Motion photo, which Android copied it from iPhone. When you shoot photo, it takes video and you can choose the best frame for yourself. Filters, which everyone uses it at least once. It's preset color that makes your colors better, but most of the time worse. Let's go to videography. So in videography, you also have some options like lens choices, picture size, and flash, which is same as photography. You have quality. It depends on what brand is your phone and how powerful is your phone. For example, for me, it can shoot up to 8K 30 frames per second, and it starts from 720 HD, and it also has like Ultra HD 30 frame or 60 frame per second, and so on. Personally, I don't use the 8K because it's so big and it's so hard to handle. I use 4K 60 frame per second, which is for me it's the best, and I use it for my videos. But you can also use Ultra HD 9020 to 1080, and it's also good quality. In the end, we have Super Steady, which is for when you want to shoot videos when you're running, like the people here when you're cycling or when you're riding a horse or driving car. You need to have a steady shot. You can use this one. It would introduce some distortion, but you can use it. Let's try it now. Most of the phones has Pro Video and Pro Photo. It simulates the professional cameras, which you can change ISO, shutter speed, but not aperture. It's fixed. If you don't know how to do it, I have some videos which I added here. You can just click on it. The next one is night mode. Do you know how it works? No? it slows down the shutter speed and it gains much more light, and your photos in low light situations will be brighter. Here's a small tip: when you use night mode, your subject needs to not move. You will have motion blur on your photos. The next one is food, which I see so many people when they eat something, they shoot their food, and you have this option on your phone to shoot better food photos. You want to catch all the scene around you. The best option is using panorama, and I'm going to show you how this is working. And slow motion. For example, when you want to slow down a moving subject, you need to use this slow motions options. In accord to your phone, you will have like 120 or 240 frames per second. It depends on your phone. I always say it's very important to learn how to edit your photos, so let me show you some example. Yes, let me show you some example. Here you can see the photo without editing, and now with editing. See how it is different, so much different. If you don't know how to edit your photos, I have a very good video which I explained step by step. Here you can watch it and gain some experience from it. Okay, thank you for watching until end. As always, to support me, please subscribe to the channel, share my videos to your friends, comment your questions in the comment section, and to not miss the new videos, hit the bell. Hit the bell. And in the end, don't forget to shoot, edit, and repeat.